As once said by Matthew Arnold, it is with him our real poetry was born. So he's the man behind the real poetry, Geoffrey Chaucer. He's also known as the father of English literature, and he was born in London around 1343, and he died of unknown causes around 1400. We don't know the exact date, but as mentioned by the previous scholars, it was noted down as 1400, and he was buried in Poet Westminster Abbey, and he was the first poet to be buried there. So this whole period 1343 to 1400 is also known as Age of Chaucer. Okay, Age of Chaucer, yes. So it was Chaucer who started writing for the common man. So, what do you mean about the common man? Is there no one who was writing for the common man? Yes, there was nobody, not even a single writer who was writing for the common man. Everyone was writing for the kings, the royals, the elite class, but it was Chaucer who started writing for the common man with the language known as Middle English. Because during Chaucer's time, there was two more prominent languages known as Latin and French. French was the language of royals, the knights, kings, and merchants, and queens, the elite class basically, and Latin was the language of clergies, religious people, bishops, popes. So that's why you can see 1066. 1066 is the period of where Anglo-Romans, that is known as the Romans, who fought against Anglo-Saxon. Basically, at that time, there was no England that we know today. It was totally divided into so many tribes, basically known as seven tribes. The Anglo-Saxons, Normans, Scandinavians, Mercians, Danes, and Northumbrians, and so many other tribes. Prominently, the more prominent tribe at that time was Anglo-Saxon, that was defeated in the Battle of Hastings, also known as Battle of Norman Conquest 1066, by the Normans, who used to have French language. Okay, there was this French language. So that's how French came into England, and it became the language of the royal elite class, and Latin became the language of the religious people. But nobody was writing in English. Yes, there was no one who was writing at that time in English. There was no prose, no tales, no poetry, nothing was in English at that time. So for that, before we start, we have to understand the historical background, the social era at that time, the medieval England. How was the medieval England? The England of 14th century, Chaucer's England, I can say. So they were really unstable at that time. They were not as strong as we know them today, not as developed and as advanced we know them today, right? England was full of turmoil and instability at that time because it was going through so many wars, especially the Hundred Years' War. Okay, the Hundred-Year War. In this war, Chaucer also participated as a teenager for his own country, England. And he was unfortunately captured by the French army, and he was asked for 16 pounds as the ransom amount to leave him. Okay, so at that time, King Edward the Third, yes, King Edward the Third at Chaucer's time gave them, okay, sorry for my writing. Edward the Third gave them 16 pounds as ransom to get Chaucer back safely to England from the French army. This amount, you think it is just a normal amount? No, it is very important as it has been asked multiple times in multiple competitive exams that mention or tell the amount that has been asked as ransom to rescue Chaucer. So it should be, what should be your answer? It should be 16 pounds, okay? As I told you, it was a time of full of turmoils for England and instability because in 13 In 1348, it was a time of Black Death, also known as bubonic plague, that started with rats but ended up wiping one third of England's whole population. One third. That is a huge sum of population. As we know today of COVID 19, it was a heck of a pandemic, right? It just disturbed our whole lives, our daily routines, and imagine that time without technology, how these people has tackled that plague. It was really difficult for them, and due to this plague, people has lost faith in religious institution. That led to the formation of an anti-clergy group called Lollards. Lollards were basically the followers of John Wycliffe. John Wycliffe. And Lollards were anti-clergy group. They were against selling pardons because they know that was just the false practices and vices of the church that later Chaucer will tell us in his work, The Benchmark of English Literature, Canterbury Tales, right? He's going to expose all the vices and all the negative things about the religious institutions and how they were pondering money from the common people and how they were eating them, basically they were eating them with this feudal system, the taxes that they are paying. They were starving, there was no food. Imagine a world that has been undergoing 100 years of war and so many other battles that were happening at that time, like Battle of Circe, Battle of Crecy, Battle of Poitiers, Agnicourt, and then we have a plague as well, and then we have 30 years of war as well, and 100 years of war are still going. 100 years a country has been under a huge war, so people there had no food and still they are paying taxes to royals and the kings and the churches. Why? People were starving. So they revolted against this feudal system, which led to the rise of the merchant class. And this happened with the Lollards, and later on in 1381, it led to Peasants' Revolution. Okay, Peasants' Revolution. So that was the leader of Peasants' Revolution was Wat Tyler. Wat Tyler was their leader, and they were revolting against the taxation system at that time. There was huge taxes that they have to pay to the kings and to the religious institutions. The common man couldn't afford at that time, right? So Chaucer's contribution to language. Chaucer wrote in three languages, not just English. Remember, Chaucer's career has been divided into three phases based on his three languages that he has written. He has written work in three languages. One was French. He has written in French, that is his French phase. Then he has written in Latin, that is his Latin phase. In French, he has written ABC, a long poem. Then he has also translated works of Boccaccio, and he has copied from Dante, or he has inspired, I can use this word, he is inspired from Boccaccio, Dante, the writer of Divine Comedy. Yes, and he has also translated the French work Roman de la Rose, that Romance of the Rose. He has translated that French work into English. And in his Latin work, he has also written fantastically beautiful works and masterpieces, I can say. House of Fame, House of Rumors, Parliament of the Fowls, and so many other works that we can see. And his third phase, that is his last phase of his career, English phase, where he has developed the language of people, language of the common people, people like us. He has made this language Middle English from a dialect called East Midland. So, East Midland was the dialect where he has got this language from. So there were so many dialects, people were speaking in so many dialects at that time that Chaucer has to choose one dialect so that on which dialect the English can be that can be used as the base for English. So he chose East Midland as the dialect. So in 1362 English became the language of the court, and after 1 year, 1363, it became the language of the parliament, right? Talk about this masterpiece, The Canterbury Tales. Thir- it was published in 1388. Okay, it was published in 1388, and it was not a story. It was, for by tale it doesn't mean stories, it is basically a collection of so many poems. Okay, so that's how 24 stories in total, but the original idea was little bit different. Chaucer wanted to write a story where there were 30 pilgrims who were going to the shrine of Saint Thomas a Becket, with the narrator, that is Chaucer himself. Yes, Chaucer himself is a character in the Canterbury Tales, and he's the narrator. Original idea was that these 30 pilgrims who are going for the shrine, who are going to the shrine of Saint Thomas a Becket, with Harry Bailey as their host. It was the idea of the host, Harry Bailey, who told them that each pilgrim has to tell four tales. Two tales while they are going to the shrine, and two tales while they are coming from the shrine. Okay, so in total, one person, four tales. Okay, so in total, we have 30 pilgrims, right? If each person has to tell four tales, that means we are going to have 120 tales in total. But how many tales we have in Canterbury Tales? Only 24 tales. You might be wondering why Chaucer wrote 24 tales when his original idea was to write 120 tales. Because unfortunately, it was an incomplete work. Chaucer died before writing this complete version. Okay, that's why we have only 24 tales. That too, only Chaucer in the slide. Each character represents a different social class or profession. I told you Chaucer has taken God's plenty in characterization. That means he has taken every character from every class in the society. There are characters like knight and yeoman from the upper class, right? Royal classes. There are character like pardoner, parsoner, summoner, fearer from the religious class. Then there are characters like nun prioress, second nun. Then there are also character like wife of bath. Then there are poor characters like miller, reeve. Those are carpenter stories. So he has represented each and every class. Next, it is just like a medieval reality show. Okay, a group of pilgrims traveling to Canterbury, each with their own story to tell, character with diverse personality. Yes, and Chaucer had defined them very particularly, like he has described their physical appearance as well. Like nun prioress has a nasal voice, she used to wear a brooch, she used to wear a necklace called Amor de Vincia. It was written on her necklace that love conquers all. And wife of Bath has a gap tooth. Sumner has a very Miller was really funny, cheeky kind of a character. So that's how Chaucer has defined each character so beautifully, but it is not like Anglo-Saxons. You know, the literature before Chaucer, why Chaucer is so relevant till now? Because Chaucer's characterization technique, his writing style, he used to write in, okay, he used to write in heroic couplet, and also a rhyme royal, and also, okay, rhyme royal, and that is a 7 line stanza. 7 line stanza. Okay, that is a 7 line stanza, and it has a, rhyming scheme of rhyming scheme of A B A B B C C. So that was why Chaucer is also called as a literary revolutionist, because he started a revolution where he started writing from royals to common people, right? From French to Latin to English, from descriptive literature to narrative literature, from very lengthy lines and very lengthy subjects to very concise and precise, using writing styles like heroic couplets, rhyme the royal with the rhyming scheme of A B A B B C C. And that's why he called the father of English literature. Told you the Canterbury Tales are very very precise introduction of this work so that we can later on get to know about this work in a very brief details. Till then, if you have any query, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And I have one question for you. Imagine you are a pilgrim and you are in Canterbury Tales and you're going to a shrine, and Harry Billy told you to narrate a tale. What kind of a tale you want to narrate? A religious tale or a romantic tale, just like Knight have told it, or a chivalrous tale, or a quiet tale like Student of Oxford? So it's up to you. Imagine. Till then, bye bye. See you. Signing off. Hope you enjoy the lecture. Thank you.